Hey guys, welcome back to Edge Out. This is a continuation of the first session on the basics of financial management. I hope you had learned something from my first video. But before we proceed, please don't forget to click subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Thank you very much and watch out for my other videos soon. Here's a recap. Money is a liability of the government to whoever is the holder of that paper bill or coin. The more money being circulated in an economy, the poorer the country. Since our economy works in credit, how do we promote the lesser usage of money? Let us now study the components of a well developed financial system. It is not only money that is circulating in our financial system. In fact, the Banco Central regulates the money supply in our country. Why is this so? Take financial system as if it's a human body system. As blood circulates, it also has its components. Same with money circulating in the economy. Money is just one example of the financial assets. Banks and financial institutions function as organs, but there are still other organs that we are not so familiar with, called the financial markets. In its process, there are rules and regulations. This leads us to understanding the monetary policy. What is monetary policy? How does it differ from fiscal policy? Simply put it this way, for every implementing rule on how much money to circulate in the country, it should correspond to the available funds collected by the government through taxes. They really go together. You may also watch the European debt crisis visualized in YouTube to understand this further. If we limit the supply of money, because this could mean more liability of the government and inflation, then how do we measure the economic performance of a certain country? Here are our macroeconomic goals. Three things. First, employment or trabajo. Second, price stability or presyo. And third, productivity or kita. As you can see here, this is how we assess our economy. Try to check our present unemployment and underemployment rates. Remember the last session, no money in your wallet, but you have access to the internet because you have the capacity to pay as an employed individual, then you are good. Congratulations, for you have contributed to the economy. I believe you understand already the difference. Unemployment means walang trabaho, while underemployment means mismatched ang trabaho sa degree or skills. Next is inflation rate. The target inflation rate is 2 to 4%. Do you know our present inflation rate? If the actual rate is below 2%, meaning konti lang ang napapaikot na pera sa bansa, the BSP will take action by decreasing the interest rates. This will encourage the public to spend more and the entrepreneurs to borrow for establishing a business since interests are low. On the other hand, if the actual rate exceeds 4%, meaning masyadong maraming pera ang umiikot at nagmamahala na ang mga commodities, the BSP will increase the interest rates. By increasing the interest, people are discouraged to spend their money and enticed to save because interest is high. Take note, interest rates are regulated by the BSP. Lastly, productivity or output or kita is calculated through our gross national product and gross domestic product. Recall that GNP, ibig sabihin, gawa ng Pinoy. While GDP naman ay gawa dito sa Pinas. This is the total national income which is computed based on the spending of the entire country. Base ito sa income and expense theory na kung saan we assume na the spending of one person is an income of the other. If we relate this to economics, this is equivalent to household consumption or our daily expenses at home plus investments or our excess money put to our savings plus government expenditures through infrastructure projects, example, build program, plus export minus import. Remember that the more we patronize imported products, it is a deduction to our national income or productivity. Connect this to the utang that I discussed in the last session when we pay more to foreign countries for imported goods. However, economists say that the Philippines is more of a net exporter than net importer based on the breakdown of our GDP. All right, bringing you to a bigger picture of business and economics. If we are employed, we contribute to our economy. How much more if we create more jobs by initiating our own businesses? This is not this is now the call of the paradigm shift. As Filipinos, we live in a culture where our children are conditioned at young age to really finish their studies, as this becomes their ticket to earn income from employment and thus be able to buy their needs and wants. As compared to the Chinese tradition and culture, we are not taught to think of business right after we finish college. We need to appreciate the contribution of business to the economy. In fact, according to World Bank, there are only 40 families that owned the large corporations in the Philippines. And guess what? Majority of them are Chinese. Some of us label them as the oligarchs. On the other hand, more or less 99.5% of the businesses here in our country are known as MSMEs or micro, small, and medium enterprises. How can we make these small entities grow and be at par with large multinational firms if we are preparing generations to generations to become employees only? I believe it's too late for us, but it's a challenge for our young ones to be the hope of our nation. We usually perceive that capitalization is the primary requirement in starting a business. Again, our economy works in credit. When our president looks for foreign investors, it's actually making utang. When we sell shares of stocks to generate funds from investors, it is utang. Why afraid of utang when money is indeed utang? Financial management is the key. If we know the rules, we can. Yes, financial resource is one of the needed requirements. But I tell you, it is the business idea that stimulates the existence of a business. Business is about organization of resources. One of them is the financial resource, but I think the most important consideration is the association of people who will commence and materialize the business idea to become a reality. Believe that you can start your own. Perhaps I will just make another video to expound on how and to give specific examples. Another books that I would like to promote here, one of my favorite authors, Robert Kiyosaki. You can buy a copy if you want, but you may also download an electronic copy of the book. What struck me in Rich Dad Poor Dad is the power of taxation and accounting. As employees, we are taxed before we can spend for our needs and wants. Businessmen are allowed to incur a lot of expenses first and consequently tax based on their net profit. Discover also why A students, the academics, work for C students, the capitalists, and B students or the bureaucrats work for the government. It's a nice read too. Another book that I would recommend you to read is The Cash Flow Quadrant, where Kiyosaki illustrated the four quadrants. And sad to say, most of us are stuck in the first, the employee. It takes a lot of courage for us to step up to being self employed or having our own business. But a goal for everyone in order to achieve financial freedom is the fourth quadrant, that is, becoming an investor when money works for you. In educating our students, we have to prepare them to be equipped with intellectual resources on how to develop their skills in making researches, feasibility studies, and business plans. Because later on, if they learn how to market their outputs to foreign investors, they might be able to bridge the gap of implementing the visions and plans of our government leaders for more citizens to economically move up and compete with big companies, thus realizing the paradigm shift. But the question now is how? Answer: credit. What is credit? We already proved that money is credit. We therefore realize that an economy cannot stand without credit. Now, what is the difference of credit, debt, and wealth? Credit is the power to incur debt. We all have that power. We just have to maintain our good credit reputation. It's hard for some, but the secret is just proper financial management. Debt is an actual obligation obtained from availing credit. Wealth is the asset acquired as a result of debt. Wealth can be deceiving. Don't judge people based on their wealth. Their many assets might be acquired with too many debts. Look for their capital instead. That is, assets minus liabilities. If there's a will to do business, there's always a way. One bank claims we find ways. Credit, right? Now, recall those financial assets. These are the types of financial assets. How many of these do you have? Take note that there are two points of views here. Either you are the investor, you're the one holding the financial assets, or investee, you have financial liabilities. Take a look at these examples: passbook, checkbook, time deposits, ATM cards, promissory notes, treasury bonds, invoices. Mind you, invoices are actually negotiable or transferable in nature. If you have so much receivables and you are out of cash, you can do the assignment of credit through financial institutions. Commercial bonds, treasury bonds, stocks, common stock, preferred stock. These are just some of the examples. There's so much more paper bills, notes, bonds, stocks, contracts, negotiable instruments, securities, financial investments, financial assets, whatever you call them. But we only thought of money as it rules the financial world. There's actually more. Experience them all soon. Here, did you know that a businessman's attache case does not necessarily contain cash, but more of paper contracts called financial investments? Because if it's full of cash, he may not be a businessman, but a kidnapper with a ransom money. Did you know that having a piggy bank is discouraged by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, as this does not help the circulation of money in the financial system? Again, circulate the money. Spend what you earn if that's your way of contributing to the economy. Any excess, set them aside in banks and other investment vehicles. Again, you know now that the lesser use of money is good for our economy because the usage of various forms of financial assets other than money means a more stable economic status of a certain country. I think this is the reason why we keep on maintaining the third world country status of the Philippines. We usually don't take risks, appreciate, and make use of other financial assets. Teach the younger generations. Appreciate banking. It helps our financial system and our economy in a lot of ways. Explore and learn stock and bond investing. Who knows? You might be the next Warren Buffett, who invested all of his money during his younger years and retired as one of the richest persons in the world. Be a Warren Buffett in this country full of spenders, believing in YOLO. It's impossible to think of it right now. But remember, there's a will. If there's a will, there's a way. Linkages and connections may help. Business relationship matters. Credit reputation counts. Aside from banks, non-bank financial institutions play a great role in our financial system. Allow them to help you with your dreams. Again, there are ways, and financial management is the key. In business, we say dream big, start small, act now. Entrepreneurship isn't a job, it's a mindset. Because the best thing about money is that it keeps you from being poor. But wait, does learning about money and financial management lead to greediness? Remember John 6:12. When they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted. Hmm, that's financial management, maximization of wealth. On the first day of every week, each one of you should set aside a sum of money in keeping with your income, saving it up so that when I come, no collections will have to be made. 1 Corinthians chapter 16 verse 2. Forget YOLO. Save when you can. And lastly, the man who had received the 5 talents went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more. So also the man with the 2 talents gained 2 more. But the man who had received the 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. Matthew chapter 25, verse 16 to 18. Utilize your resources well. Don't be afraid. Invest. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe. This is Edge out.